start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all stand? Mike Rundell, would you like to lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounds way better than virtual.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I was always trying to anticipate.
Yeah.
Going ahead.
So, Dave Gray, would you like to lead us in the verse of America?
Okay, tune up your voices. We're listening now. We're not on Zoom. My country is a big, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims tried, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Excellent. Thought for the day. At night, when the sky is full of stars and the sea is still, you get the wonderful sensation that you are floating in space. Natalie Wood. We're going to skip the toast with hands because really we can't really do that. But Dave Gray is going to introduce our guest.
Oh, before we introduce our guest, stay right here for a minute, Bill. Bill has been the president of this club since 2017, and he has led us through trials and tribulations of emptying the dreaded storage container, COVID and Zoom meetings, Christmas tree sales in freezing, dripping, and all kinds of sloshing weather, and kept the Coats for Kids going as well. And so we really appreciate his organization and sustaining. And to go with his gavel, he needs a band that actually lists all the years that he was president.
Thank you. Thank you.
We
very
really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been an honor to serve as president. Good times and bad times, but generally pretty good. Seen the club go through strides of growing members and now reducing with stuff that happened during the pandemic. So for me, it's just time for a change. I want to do something different. I want to step down. So after 6 years, it's time.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we're happy to welcome new members as well. So
Yep.
any opportunity here.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So I want to introduce our speaker this evening, who is a neighbor, a good friend, and he has been a career as an earth science educator, and I guess the most recently employment was as a subcontractor to NASA in charge of their educational programs for the International Space Station. And so with that, he gets a window into a lot of the world that we don't normally see. And he now actually heads an organization of retired astronauts and allied personnel. And he's got dozens of projects going on, and this is one of the really outstanding ones. So Dan, we really appreciate you being here, and tell us when to turn out the lights, but
Sure.
give us a little background
Yeah.
on your experiences with
Yeah.
what you've done.
Yeah, thanks, David. Please sit down. Thank you. You know, while I was standing around here, I noticed that your banner there does not have a mission patch. Has none of you been in space before? Well, maybe we can change that tonight. We're going to take you on a really fascinating experience. We're going to have so much fun, take you into space, and up there we will see beautiful Earth and listen to some incredible music. So just to elaborate a little further on the background, I'm a Stow resident, happy to live on Lake Boone, down the street from Dave and Karen. And I'm active on the Lake Boone Commission, so we're doing civic duty there. My career has always been in education, especially earth and space science education. We live on a beautiful planet, and we need to take better care of it. So the more we can do at any age, in any place, the better. Most recently, working with the International Space Station, I was the senior education manager, which meant that I worked with students and actually through many partners. We had 30 different, we still have 30 different partner organizations that help students launch their own experiments. little boxes that might have a little sort of magnetic test or something. How does magnetism work in microgravity? Or a spider to see if it can spin its web, or maybe cameras that can look out, or they're doing biological experiments. So it's really incredible to think that what used to be an observation experience is now a participatory experience, and that's the major thing that we've accomplished. I retired 2 years ago, but now continue my work because it's so much fun and because it's so important. So tonight I'd like to share with you some things about what we call Bach in space, this fantastic musician, composer, and space, of course. But you don't want to hear me talk about it. Let's take you up to space. So Dave, if you can turn the lights down. I'm going to take you up to what is the most amazing movie theater anywhere outside of the world. We're going to see Earth, listen to music. But first I want to thank the sponsors of the work that I've been involved in. I do this mostly as a volunteer, but the ISS National Lab is the U.S. portion of the International Space Station, where there are really some 38 different countries that have been flown to space. There are a dozen countries that actually operate sections, but it's all international. Even during all the tensions we have with Russia lately, the participation of the U.S. scientists and engineers together has continued unabated. The ISS National Lab has even been nominated for a Nobel Prize several years because of that international collaboration. The Association of Space Explorers is the professional association of flown astronauts, incredible people. It's a pleasure to work with them. I'm their education mission specialist. Turk is an educational nonprofit that supports this because of its educational reach. And our major sponsor actually is Planet Earth, without whom we truly would not be here. So we're going to go up to the International Space Station. Here it is. This is its orbit. It flies about 250 miles above the Earth. Take a look at this. See if you can figure out where it is.
Central America. Is that a peninsula we're looking at? Or?
Yeah, well, we have water here. We have peninsula here. We've got clouds. We've got that thin horizon, the thin atmosphere.
Mexico.
That's a very good guess. It kind of looks like Yucatan, doesn't it? Sort of that. But what you have to do is remember that north, up, all that, it's not the same. Right. Turn your head this way and think Mediterranean. That is the boot of Italy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to get used to thinking and seeing differently. Now, we're going to go up. I'm going to take you all up to space with two missions in mind. One is the mission of observing and learning about Earth, and the other is the mission, as I mentioned, about music. Well, it turns out that astronauts really love music. Many of them are musicians. They have digital keyboards, they've got flutes, they've got guitars, even bagpipes, which you can imagine they go down way down one end of the space station while everybody else is at the other end. So our launch vehicle is actually down at Kennedy Space Center. It's poised. They're doing the final fueling. While it gets ready, I need to give you a little bit of pre-flight training before we launch you. First of all, welcome to the astronaut corps, which is increasingly made up of all kinds of folks. Now, how many of you have ever wanted to be an astronaut? Okay. Well, it only takes two things. One is in your heart. You have to really, really want to do this. The second is in your head. You have to really be smart, do your work, learn, collaborate, and become an expert in whatever domain of work you have. You also need, of course, incredible team skills. Now, our primary destination there is what's called the cupola. This 6-side windows, one on the top, or actually it's upside down looking down at Earth. From there, we get incredible views. This is over the Andes as we head down towards Chile and Argentina, the Patagonia region. You can see the shape, you can see the mountains, the snow caps there, you can see where the river flows, you can see the processes of Earth taking place. Now, the astronauts love to photograph Earth. So my great fortune in this time of my life is to manage on behalf of the Association of Space Explorers that archive of all 4 million photographs that they've taken. So I can just kind of hang out and just sort of go through them, pretend I'm up in the cupola looking at Earth, but more importantly, we want to share them on a broader level to help people get what's sometimes called the overview effect. Now, this is the speed of the space station. Do you know where we are? That's Florida, yep. Now you can see, notice the clouds. Here's Cuba. Notice the clouds forming over the land. You see, here's Lake Okeechobee. It's clear there. Here you can see storm going there. But if you want to take a picture of these beautiful Bahamas, you have about 30 seconds as you're flying over it to get that picture. Although you're going 17,500 miles, it takes 92 minutes to go around, it's almost serene when you're going this speed. But you might go click and take a picture like this. So, I mean, Earth is so beautiful in these photographs. We see, well, which way do you think the wind is blowing here?
Which is north.
All right, you got it. It's blowing this way because the wind comes over the land where it's warmer, that air rises, forms the cloud streets here, and then they dissipate as it goes over the colder water. This is shallow water, these clear, you can see through the sand. It's just gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful clouds. So then the music connection is much more ethereal. I've used these photographs in many ways, but often I find if I make it into a science lecture, people don't really want to listen. But if you listen to music, it becomes a whole different experience. In fact, what we find, this is Bach's own autographed music. This is his writing. Look at all these beautiful shapes. Look at the clouds. Look at the similarity between them. In fact, here is an astronaut and a person playing the organ. Now, some people say that the console of an organ is very much like a spacecraft. All these complex things, but to me, what most catches my attention in this is the smile on each of them. Both of them have this, they're working, it's concentrating, but they're so pleased to be doing what they're doing. And more importantly, each of them is doing this not for themselves, but to share. Well, so let's get you ready up to go into space. This is your launching spacecraft. This is the SpaceX Dragon. Here it is, and it's going to be attached down there. It's already, this is in your training one, but the one you're actually going to go in is already on top of the spacecraft, the rocket. Now, you go through some simulation training where you pretend that you're an astronaut. But the astronauts, and they throw all kinds of problems at you, so you learn, so you're ready to do this. But you need to feel like you're really an astronaut. So although this is a simulated mission, I'm going to stop calling that, because you're going to experience this as actually getting ready to launch. Okay, all the trainers have said, yep, you're certified, you know what you're doing, time for the launch. You suit up, head across this walkway here, and fortunately there are few empty seats left. So I'd like you to settle in, get ready to go. Mission control, meanwhile, all these folks making sure that you're going to have a safe mission. They're all saying, go, go, go. Now, I'm going to be your launch director. My job is not to go up with you, but to make sure you come back safely. Or else the Lions Club will not get their mission badge. So, let's count down. Up we go. Gets higher and higher. It starts slow, gets faster and faster. You feel the weight in your seat. You're vibrating. It's just all this incredible excitement. Up and up you go, faster and faster, in through the clouds.
We're now at T plus 35 seconds into the 5th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Now, it only takes 7.5 minutes to get into space. But those are the most thrilling 7.5 minutes of your life. It's just incredible. And then the launch portion of the rocket disconnects and then lands safely to be reused. And meanwhile, our Dragon keeps on looking around, trying to get closer and closer to, there it is, the International Space Station. Let's do a fly around and see, make sure these solar panels, that provides all the electricity, they look pretty solid. That going down the center, those where all the experiments and the labs and things are, that's the US National Lab here. There's the European lab. All these are connected. They're all collaborating. We have the Japanese lab next to it. They have an external experiment platform. Okay, everything looks good. So let's dock. Are you ready? We open the door, and then you're weightless. You're just floating. Now, I want you to be very, very careful as you do this. See all the switches here? Don't bump into them. You don't want that to happen. Notice the way she's holding her hands very softly. And you just sort of push off, and then you float. Now, you may start feeling a little queasy in your stomach. If you do, that's okay. It happens to everybody. Your barf bag is in your back pocket, you know. Just make sure you close it when you're, you know, but don't worry. So now let's grab onto that blue bar up ahead. Oh, there you go. That holds you. There's another one under your feet. You hook your feet in there, and that's where you stabilize yourself so that you can do things without just having every push move you around. Well, here are our colleagues on board, and looks like they're having a wonderful meal. They've got food in tins, they've got straws. In fact, if it's too crowded there, you can just float and sit upside down looking down. Notice how they have all kinds of personal things around here. There's a book somebody's reading, and here's, you know, some artwork. They're trying to make it to their home because they lived there for 6 months. Your flight is only 2 days, but they're there for 6 months, so they have to just get used to it. The social part is a very important part of this. So is the exercise. You have to do 2.5 hours of exercise every day, because even just standing is a form of exercise. You don't do that when you're floating. And he's strapped down, you know, with the bungee cords there. All right, so now let's go to our destination, the cupola.
Hello, I'm Sunny Williams. I'm up here on the International Space Station. It's like a glass-bottom boat. This is the cupola. It sticks down below the space station. It's one of those places you find yourself hanging out in all the time because all you want to do is look back at our planet. I think some questions I had were about what do you do in your free time? And you can't help but want to just come to the cupola and look outside as much as you can. And a lot of folks, I play this game with myself about where we're flying over the Earth. Try to come in here and just guess. After being here for a little while, you can sort of figure it out. You can tell different cloud types over different continents. You can tell different soil types over different continents. So let's see. And then, of course, there's a lot of ocean. So usually we're over the ocean at first glance. I will tell you in just a moment where we are. There we go. So right now we are right over Africa. It's a little bit cloudy, as you can tell, but we're right over the continent of Africa.
So now we've reached our destination. We're in our movie theater. Let's have some Bach in space. So settle in, relax. Our first piece is from the Goldberg Variations. It's an aria. We call this Aria for Earth. We're flying over South America, flying over, coming in over Chile and then Argentina with this beautiful aria. And the performers are Stardust Symphony, a flutist, vibraphone, and harpsichord. It is such a pleasure in this phase of my life to work with these incredible musicians. I've found that I'm able to connect with the musicians and have them feel like this is something that they want to express, to figure out what music goes. And then we post it, and anybody can use these for free. But this, to me, this sort of the serenity of space, this is the daytime view. The next musician I worked with, Brian Hoffman, is a organist who loves Bach and loves space. We chose for that some nighttime individual scenes, not an actual flyover, but individual scenes for what we call an Earth Minute, a 1-minute piece. It's a chorale prelude 644. I love how this conveys the interweaving, the harmonies. It starts out with a single tune and it's one light and then expands others, become more and more complex, all interwoven. Well, Why Bach? It could be any music. And really, there more and more, rap, rock, whatever, it could be any kind of music. But Bach especially was the master of these harmonies, and that's the kind of message we're trying to convey with this. So continuing with that theme, we now in fact have a world premiere. No one has ever seen this before, except for Dave Gray and I, because we made this together in our little Earth Music studio a couple weeks ago. It uses recordings from the Sounds of Stow that was done a few years ago. It's a beautiful piece from the B minor Mass. It's 3 different excerpts, and it is indeed a world premiere. It starts with a night flight that goes up, starts looking over Houston, continues on, goes past Boston, then on up to Quebec. The next piece is over Europe, and the final piece is some Aurora. I think it's about 10 minutes long, so let's just enjoy this. Well, not bad for Stow. Sounds of Stow, Dave. So I'd like to give you a few more samples before we return to Earth. We found that often the music provides new insights to what we're looking at, especially, for example, clouds. Often people say, oh, darn, there are clouds in the way of that picture. In fact, the clouds are the most dynamic part of Earth. So here is Josef Kratochvíl from Czechoslovakia doing Bach's Toccata while we learn more about the interplay of clouds. all the waves of clouds, the way they merge together, they separate, they all combine, they shrink and enlarge. Clouds are such a beautiful thing seen from space. The other thing that's so beautiful, of course, is what you just saw, the aurora. These are at the northern and southern regions as the sun hits the ionosphere and causes these charged particles to fire up. In fact, the spacecraft, you may be lucky as you look out the window at just the right time while you're up there to see the aurora that you fly directly through. Now, for this next piece, this sonata, I worked with Catherine Brissett, who plays this fascinating glass harmonica. She moistens her hands, and then all these rods here, these special sounds, make this very sort of spacey, ethereal music. This one, it shows her in the lower left, so you can see her playing at the same time as we're seeing the aurora. Well, now it's time to come back to Earth. We need to wave goodbye to all our friends. Thank you so much for hosting us, being our friends, helping us have this marvelous experience. Thank you. And thank you, Earth, for giving us these glorious views and just being our wonderful home. Well, you put on your spacesuit, you float in through this incredibly complex machinery, you float in through here and get into the spacecraft. You sit down, make sure all the buttons are pressed, and don't worry, the commander and assistant are doing all that complicated stuff for us. We check in with ground control. They say everything looks good for coming back to Earth. So you slowly disconnect. Now, this next part's going to be even more thrilling than the part that was going up, because now you're used to being weightless, and all of a sudden you're going to be buffeting through that atmosphere. At first, it's going to, against the spacecraft, it'll cool, the ablative shield will slow you down, and then eventually the parachutes will open and you'll land in water. But you need to be prepared for all that's going to happen. So, you feel all this and you see this. It doesn't really heat up inside, fortunately, but it is. Now you're feeling this 2, 3, 5 times the weight of gravity. And then ground control is keeping an eye for watching their sensors to see if they can see that heat. And up, yep, there it is.
Do the initial slowing and then they'll all...
Parachutes open. And getting close to the water. Careful. There.
And there we have confirmation of splashdown.
I'm so relieved. Now, you're still not done yet. We have to pick up your spacecraft, put it here. Now, when you get out, I don't want you to go jumping up and down, because your body is not used to that. Just tell us that you're okay, and I can breathe a sigh of relief that the Lions Club is back in Stow, safe. Well, you've now completed your first mission to space, so congratulations, everybody. And of course, you all have now earned your mission patch, your Space Station Explorers.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pretty cool, thank you.
And somebody, of course, will have to put your mission patch here.
I will take care of that.
Okay, there you go. There's your extra one to do that. And of course, please, let's all take care of our home planet. We're seriously at risk. This is an existential crisis for our planet. And maybe this overview effect, this experience from above, can help you, can help all of us change our relationship with home planet Earth. Now, if you'd like to see any more of these videos, these Earth and music videos, go to our website, windowsonearth.org. Just think of all these windows, look at Earth, windowsonearth.org. And there's an Earth movie theater there. We have about 20 different videos, and they keep on adding more. So all part of this experience to combine Earth and music. Thank you all for coming and enjoying us. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did. And I'm so pleased that we had, 12 lions going to space today. Cool, huh?
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Congratulations to you all. Thank you. Thank you.